Have you ever felt anger rise within you like a wildfire, burning through reason and leaving only regret in its wake? Perhaps it was the time you lashed out at someone you love, only to realize later that you'd said things you could never take back. Or maybe your anger cost you an opportunity, damaged a relationship, or consumed your mind over something that, in hindsight, wasn't worth the turmoil. Anger can feel overwhelming and relentless, ready to take control at the slightest provocation. But what if we stopped seeing anger as our enemy? What if we embraced it as an ally, a teacher that could guide us to deeper self-awareness and growth? The philosophy of Stoicism doesn't demand that we suppress our emotions. Instead, it shows us how to harness our reason to master them. Anger, when understood and channeled, has the potential to do more than just release negativity. It can become a force that propels us toward change and self-improvement. Along this journey, mindfulness and the timeless wisdom of ancient philosophers will serve as our compass. What I'm sharing here isn't just abstract theory. It's a collection of practical lessons I've gained through my own experiences of confronting anger. That's why I urge you to stay focused and not skip a single part of this discussion. Each insight has the power to transform the way you handle your emotions. If you're ready to turn anger from a destructive force into a source of strength and clarity, follow along until the end. What you discover could very well be a turning point in your life. Number 1. What you should never do with anger. Anger, at its core, is like fire. It can warm you on cold nights, but if left unchecked, it can destroy everything in its path. Stoicism does not advocate extinguishing anger entirely, for it is not inherently the enemy. Instead, anger can be a teacher, a potential ally, if we learn to understand and work with it. But before anger can become an ally, we must first master how to respond to it without making mistakes. When faced with anger, many people fall into one of two unhealthy patterns. Some let anger explode, allowing it to take the reins of their behavior. They yell, blame, and sometimes hurt others or themselves. In these moments, anger becomes a reckless driver, leading them down roads they will later regret. As Marcus Aurelius observed, how much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? The repercussions of anger often far outweigh its triggers. Think of the countless times we've let anger cloud our judgment, spoken words we couldn't take back, or acted in ways that fractured relationships. On the other hand, some people suppress their anger, burying it deep and pretending it doesn't exist. Yet, like a fire trapped in a sealed room, anger can smolder and transform into toxic smoke, damaging the soul and body. Seneca wisely warned, anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. Suppressing anger is not the solution. In fact, it often leads to more severe issues, ranging from mental stress to physical health problems. Consider Jack, a young man known for his strength and decisiveness, but also his fiery temper. Jack grew up in a household where his father often yelled, criticized, and blamed others whenever things went wrong. During family arguments, Jack's mother would remain silent to maintain peace, but Jack didn't follow her example. Instead, he mirrored his father's behavior, believing that shouting and asserting control were the only ways to protect himself and resolve conflicts. At first, this approach made Jack feel powerful. He could shout when someone displeased him or shift blame to avoid vulnerability. Anger became a tool for dominating relationships. However, this strategy faltered when Jack entered a serious romantic relationship. His girlfriend, a gentle and empathetic woman, found his explosive reactions overwhelming. During disagreements, Jack would immediately lash out, yelling and accusing her over minor issues. For Jack, anger was a shield, protecting him from confronting the deeper insecurities within. Over time, their relationship grew increasingly strained. Jack's girlfriend began to withdraw, finding it impossible to communicate in an atmosphere of constant tension and fear. Though Jack never admitted it, he felt lost and disconnected. He realized that each outburst only pushed her further away, leaving problems unresolved. He couldn't understand why their relationship was unraveling. Finally, after a particularly heated argument, his girlfriend decided to leave. At that moment, Jack felt his world collapse. Following the breakup, Jack experienced emotional and physical decline. He suffered from persistent fatigue, headaches, and chest pains. He realized that allowing anger to dominate his life had not only cost him loved ones, but had also inflicted deep harm on himself. Anger, once his shield, had become a fire consuming him from within. Jack's story is not uncommon. Have you ever found yourself in a similar spiral? Have you used anger to control situations, only to see everything fall apart? Have you felt the weight of words or actions fueled by anger, regretting them deeply but unable to undo the damage? Stoicism does not call for the eradication of anger, nor does it permit anger to control us. Instead, it urges us to confront anger, understand it, and channel it constructively. Epictetus offered a timeless reminder. Any person capable of angering you becomes your master. They can anger you only when you permit yourself to be disturbed by them. The person who angers you is not your master unless you allow them to control your mind. This does not mean suppressing anger, but learning to temper it, to neither let it rule you nor deny its presence. To navigate anger constructively, the first step is to pause and listen to it. Anger is not your enemy. It is a signal that something within you has been violated. When you feel angry, ask yourself, what about this situation is truly hurting me? What boundary of mine has been crossed? Resist the urge to react impulsively, as rash reactions often escalate the issue. Similarly, do not deny anger's existence, as doing so dismisses a fundamental part of your humanity, a part of yourself. Instead, courageously acknowledge it. You might gently tell yourself, I am angry, and that's okay. This anger is a part of me, and it's here to tell me something important. Understand that anger is a message from within, signaling that a value or boundary of yours has been breached. Do not let it sweep you away in a storm of emotions, but neither should you bottle it up in silent resentment. Instead, use anger as a bridge for communication. If someone has upset you, approach the situation with clarity, sincerity, and calmness. For example, you might say, I feel angry about this because it matters to me. I want us to work together to find a solution. These words not only release anger from your mind, but also create an opportunity for deeper understanding and connection. When handled appropriately, anger can become a powerful ally. It can help you identify what truly matters, protect your boundaries, and express authenticity in your relationships with yourself and others. But first, you must abandon unhealthy patterns, explosion, or suppression, and learn to engage with anger in a balanced way. Do not let anger destroy you. Instead, let it illuminate the path forward, guiding you toward a life of greater balance and peace. Number 2, confront your anger with courage. If the first lesson in avoiding the chaotic whirlwind of emotions is to know what not to do with anger, the next step demands even greater courage, facing it directly. Instead of suppressing or avoiding it, View anger as a guest knocking on the door of your soul, carrying a message that needs decoding. Confronting anger isn't about defeating or overpowering it, but understanding it, unearthing the pain, expectations, and values that lie beneath. This is the path Stoicism guides us along, turning anger into an opportunity for growth and a chance to find genuine inner balance. Imagine returning home after a tense argument with a colleague. You feel as though the world is against you, and anger surges within. Instead of drowning it out by scrolling mindlessly on your phone or venting on those around you, pause. Ask yourself, why do I feel this way? What's truly happening within me? When you allow yourself this moment of reflection, you begin to see anger not as a meaningless fire, but as a blazing light illuminating the things you've neglected. Perhaps you're angry because you feel disrespected. Maybe it stems from a fear that your worth is unacknowledged. Facing your anger involves looking beyond the immediate event that triggered it to examine yourself, your unmet expectations, hidden wounds, and unspoken needs. As Epictetus reminds us, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Anger becomes a mirror, reflecting the truths you must confront to better understand and heal yourself. Facing anger is not just about managing emotions, it's a profound journey towards self-awareness. Anger is often seen as an enemy to be avoided or suppressed, but in reality, it is a powerful signal, a reminder that something within us is unresolved or unhealed. Many people go through life unaware of the deep-seated scars they carry, only realizing their presence when anger erupts like a dormant volcano. This eruption forces them to pause and confront the inner turbulence they've long ignored. Think about those moments when you felt sudden, unexpected anger over seemingly trivial matters. Perhaps someone's offhand comment struck a nerve, or a repetitive situation reminded you of a painful memory. In these moments, anger is rarely just a response to the present. It often unearths unprocessed pain from the past, feelings of abandonment, injustice, or a lack of love and recognition. When anger arises, it becomes a mirror reflecting the areas of your life that need understanding and healing. Facing anger is not easy. It requires courage and honesty to confront your pain and vulnerabilities. It's far simpler to blame circumstances or others when anger surfaces, because doing so provides temporary relief from the discomfort of looking inward. Yet anger doesn't simply fade away. It simmers like an underground fire, demanding our attention. It urges us to pause, listen, and ask ourselves, what is truly causing me to feel this way? Only by daring to confront this question can we begin the healing journey, instead of allowing emotions to control our lives. Take, for example, the story of a man who felt consistently undermined by a colleague at work. Rather than addressing the issue head-on, he chose to remain silent, letting resentment fester over time. His anger didn't dissipate, it quietly brewed, making him bitter and distancing him from those around him. One day, unable to bear it any longer, he decided to face his feelings. Instead of lashing out or assigning blame, he calmly expressed his concerns and set clear boundaries. In this way, anger became a catalyst, not for destruction, but for improved relationships and personal peace. Take a quiet moment to ask yourself, what is my anger trying to tell me? Perhaps it's more than just a fleeting reaction. It could be a profound reminder that something in your life is out of balance. It might point to a relationship that's draining you, a workplace that no longer aligns with your values, or even ways in which you've been unjust to yourself. Instead of treating anger as an enemy to be vanquished, View it as a silent companion, guiding you toward the truth. Often, from the midst of turmoil and unease, we find the most necessary answers, answers that help us change, grow, and realign our path. Facing anger is not only a personal act, but a step toward living authentically. When you dare to confront anger, you not only understand yourself better, but also open the door to healing. Anger, far from being a destroyer, becomes an ally on the journey to mindfulness. And you'll come to realize that every moment of anger is an opportunity to grow, a reminder that you are alive, feeling, and still learning. If anger is listened to, it can become a gateway to profound truths within your soul. But have you ever been brave enough to face it? If not, why not start now? Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments so we can explore and better understand this complex emotion together. Sometimes, simply expressing yourself can make all the difference. Number 3. Decode the mechanics of anger. When you muster the courage to face your own anger, the next step is to dig deeper. What truly generates this emotion? Anger doesn't appear randomly. It is the result of a chain of internal reactions from the mind to the body. It is a combination of survival instincts, tightly held beliefs, and how we interpret the events around us. To master anger, you need to understand that it is not an enemy, but a part of yourself. Only when you decode its mechanism can you turn anger into an ally that helps you grow and live more mindfully. Let's uncover what really happens when anger arises. From a scientific perspective, anger is the product of a sophisticated mechanism within the brain, where the amygdala, the emotional processing center, acts as a sentinel always on high alert. When you face something that feels unfair, insulting, or threatening, the amygdala responds immediately, as if triggering an alarm that echoes in your mind. It sends emergency signals, mobilizing your body into a state of readiness. Your heart rate speeds up to pump blood to your muscles. Your breathing quickens to supply oxygen for immediate action, and your senses become sharper, a legacy of evolution from the days when our ancestors had to fight or flee to survive. However, in the modern world, the dangers we encounter rarely take the form of fangs or claws. Instead, they are often hidden in sarcastic remarks, cold stares, or minor actions we perceive as unfair. The amygdala, with its primal instincts, cannot differentiate between real threats and subtle social wounds. It reacts in the way it knows best, by activating the body, stirring up emotions, and pushing you into a state of readiness to fight. But a deeper question must be asked: should we let these small triggers control us? Is every injustice worth trading away the peace of our mind? Or is it simply a trap set by our own misinterpretations? Stoicism offers a challenging but profoundly liberating truth. Our emotions do not come from external events, but from how we interpret them. Epictetus once said, "It is not events that disturb people, it is their judgments concerning them." This statement, if examined closely, is not just a reminder, but a tool to help us untangle emotional attachments. We do not get angry because someone insults us. We get angry because we give those words more power than they deserve. We are not insecure because of criticism. We feel insecure because our ego makes us perceive criticism as a personal attack rather than an opportunity for growth. This is not an easy truth to accept because it forces us to face ourselves. It requires us to let go of the victim role, a role where we often feel more comfortable blaming circumstances or others. At the same time, it opens a door to freedom, where we regain control of our emotions. An insult is just a string of sounds, and an event is merely a phenomenon, They hold no inherent power to harm us. That power is given only when we attach our emotions to them. Realizing this is not just an intellectual act, but an act of courage, as it demands us to shift our perspective and take control of ourselves. In that shift, we find freedom from unnecessary anger and the strength to live a more peaceful life. When you understand the mechanisms of anger, you can transform it from an enemy into an ally. Anger does not necessarily need to be suppressed or denied, as it carries valuable messages. It tells us what is important to us, what needs to be changed, or what needs to be protected. Imagine working on a group project, and a member fails to complete their task on time. Initially, anger might flare up. How could they be so lazy and irresponsible? But if you pause to reflect, you might realize that perhaps they are dealing with personal difficulties or simply lack time management skills. Instead of letting anger push you into an unnecessary argument, you could choose a more constructive approach. Converse, understand, and assist. The result is not only an improved relationship, but also better efficiency for the entire group. Anger, in the end, is not something to be eliminated, but something to be understood and controlled. The next time you feel anger rising, pause and ask yourself, am I reacting instinctively, or am I consciously choosing how to respond? This is a vital step in the journey of transforming anger from a destructive fire into a guiding light, helping you live a more mindful and meaningful life. If you're still here, take a moment to congratulate yourself. This proves that you're not afraid of challenges, that you're ready to change and face yourself, something not everyone dares to do. We are delving into a journey not just to understand, but to transform. Anger cannot be controlled with a quick fix. It requires deep understanding and a comprehensive strategy. So, stay with me. The next part will connect everything you've learned, offering you a powerful and sustainable approach. Stay tuned, because by the end of this journey, you will not only understand anger, but also know how to turn it into your greatest ally. Number 4. How mindfulness effectively controls anger. When you truly understand the mechanism of anger, how it arises from beliefs, expectations, and biological reactions in your body, you realize that anger is not an enemy to be eradicated, but a natural part of being human. Yet, how do you avoid being swept away by its storm? How can you maintain clarity and calm when anger flares up like a raging fire? This is where mindfulness becomes an invaluable tool. Mindfulness not only helps you recognize your emotions with clarity, but also guides you to respond wisely and compassionately. Let us now explore how mindfulness can be effectively practiced to transform anger from an adversary into an ally. When anger arises, the first step is not to act, but to pause. The moment you take a deep breath in and exhale slowly, your body begins to change. A deep breath acts like a soothing stream flowing through the tension in your cells, awakening the parasympathetic nervous system, the source of inner peace. This is not just theoretical, it is an experience you can feel in the moment. Imagine a familiar scenario. You're driving home after a long day and find yourself stuck in chaotic traffic. The cacophony of honking horns and the frustration of delays spark a surge of anger. Instead of reacting by honking back or cursing under your breath, you pause for a second and take a deep breath. In that instant, your anger doesn't vanish but softens, making room for reason to take charge. Is this magic? No, it is the power of mindfulness. Anger, when acknowledged, resembles a lost child caught in a storm, helpless and frantic, until it is embraced by a parent who soothes it with love and understanding. Similarly, anger seeks recognition, a simple acknowledgement that it exists, that it is neither abandoned nor suppressed. Acknowledging anger is not a sign of weakness. Rather, it is the deepest expression of courage. It is the moment you tell yourself, "I am angry," much like you would pause to listen to a friend in need. When you do this, you create a safe distance between yourself and your anger. This space allows reason to regain its footing, enabling you to observe your emotions without being swept away by them. In this precise moment, anger loses its overwhelming power and becomes a voice that needs to be heard, a part of you that deserves understanding. Naming your emotions affirms that you are strong enough to face yourself, mature enough not to let anger control you, and compassionate enough to treat yourself with kindness and patience. It is curious how, when anger flares up, we often react unconsciously, following ingrained patterns. Some shout and blame, while others retreat into silence, burying their emotions. Instead of falling into these repetitive cycles, why not try something different? Writing down your feelings, for instance, can offer immense relief. Each word on the page becomes a current, carrying your anger away from your mind. Alternatively, you could take a walk in nature, letting your footsteps connect with the earth and the fresh air dissipate the tension within you. These simple actions not only release negative energy, but also provide the clarity to see the situation more objectively. Have you ever asked yourself what lies beneath your anger? Is it pain or the hurt of unmet expectations? When you practice self-compassion, you may discover that anger is not as frightening as it seems. It is your reaction, not the situation, that determines your inner peace. In a relationship, for example, instead of blaming others when they fail to meet your expectations, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what am I truly hurt by? How can I face this with more gentleness? Self-compassion opens the door to empathy for others, helping you communicate more effectively and lovingly. Listen to your anger. It doesn't arise to destroy you. It comes with a message. Ask yourself, what is this anger trying to tell me? Is it a reminder to set clearer boundaries, or a signal that I need to change my perspective? A friend of mine once shared her frustration with colleagues who disrespected her time. Instead of continuing to feel resentful, she decided to have an honest conversation and establish clear boundaries. In this case, anger became a catalyst for building confidence and improving communication skills. Mindfulness, when practiced properly, not only helps you confront anger, but also aligns deeply with Stoicism. As Epictetus wisely advised, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Mindfulness helps you clearly define who you wish to become, a person ruled by emotions or a master of them. Through mindfulness, you can act from a place of awareness and strength. Anger, after all, is not the enemy. It is a companion, urging us to reflect on ourselves, recognize what's lacking, and spark growth. Through mindfulness, you not only learn to face your anger, but also find peace within it. Let mindfulness guide you toward positive thoughts and inner harmony. Only then can anger truly become an ally, empowering you to live a fuller and more meaningful life. Comment: embrace your anger to take the first steps toward engaging with your emotions, learning to transform them into a positive force and creating a more harmonious life. Then, let's move on to the final lesson of the day. Number 5. See anger from a higher perspective. After practicing mindfulness to deeply listen to and recognize your anger, the next step is elevating your mind to a higher perspective, seeing everything from a broader vantage point. This step embodies one of the core principles of Stoicism, learning to view anger from above to free yourself from the grip of immediate emotions. This practice not only helps you manage anger, but also grants you the clarity to see that everything is small and fleeting when observed through the lens of objectivity and time. It's a moment to combine reason with emotion, transforming anger into a teacher, not a master. Imagine standing atop a mountain, gazing down at the landscape below. Those incidents that once stirred anger within you, a minor car accident or a careless comment, suddenly seem insignificant and faint. From this elevated viewpoint, you understand that anger is just a fleeting reaction, unworthy of dominating your mind or your life. A friend of mine once shared a story about a time he felt furious after being publicly criticized by a colleague during a meeting. At that moment, he was so upset that he couldn't focus on anything else. But after stepping out of the room and taking a few minutes to reflect, he asked himself, "Will this still matter in a week or even a day?" He realized that the critique was, in fact, an opportunity to improve, and his anger had only clouded his judgment. Looking back, he felt grateful for choosing silence over an impulsive reaction. Stoicism emphasizes that our reactions, not external events, define who we are. Consider an employee who is reprimanded by their boss for a minor mistake. It's natural to feel anger and a sense of injustice. Yet, from a higher perspective, that reprimand might be seen as a small piece in the larger puzzle of their career, a chance to learn and grow. Anger, when harnessed, can become a motivator to do better, to prove oneself, and to excel. In the vast flow of time, all anger becomes insignificant. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nature controls it all, and before long you'll be no one, nowhere, like Hadrian, like Augustus." While this may sound like a reminder of impermanence, it also helps us see that the things that anger us today, an injustice, a thoughtless remark, will dissolve into the endless stream of the universe. Is it worth letting a moment of anger overshadow the greater values in life, such as love, peace, and cherished relationships? I recall a personal story of my own. One morning, my young son accidentally spilled coffee on my favorite shirt. In the heat of the moment, I felt a surge of anger and was about to scold him. But I paused and asked myself, do I really want this to ruin our morning? In the grander scheme of life, the shirt was just a temporary possession. What mattered more was preserving the joy and connection between a father and his child. When we learn to view things from a higher perspective, anger becomes a mirror reflecting our inner selves, not merely an emotional outburst, but an opportunity to recognize our values and limitations. Each instance of anger is not a failure of reason, but an invitation to pause, listen, and ask, is this really worth my anger? Is this emotion building or destroying the person I aspire to be? These questions are more than self-reflection. They are a compass guiding us back to self-mastery, where reason and emotion are balanced. In this space, we understand that anger, when properly channeled, is not our enemy but a patient teacher guiding us toward growth and tranquility. Viewing anger from above requires practice. When anger strikes, imagine yourself as an observer, watching from a distance. Listen to your inner voice, identify where the emotion is coming from, and consider where it might lead you. Ask yourself, if I react right now, what will happen? And if I wait, will I see things differently? This practice is akin to strengthening a muscle. Over time, it will empower you to manage your emotions with greater ease and resilience. Stoicism doesn't teach us to suppress or deny our emotions. It teaches us to understand and govern them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." Anger is not the truth. It is merely a perspective. When we shift our viewpoint, we gain a clearer understanding of the situation, and anger dissolves like morning mist under the sun. So, the next time anger arises, try looking at it from above. Imagine yourself standing atop a mountain, observing both the event and your emotions from a distance. You have the choice to react immediately or to pause, reflect, and respond with clarity. Today's anger, if understood and directed wisely, can become tomorrow's valuable lesson. Are you ready to try? Let anger become your ally, not your adversary. We've just explored 5 methods that not only help you face anger, but also transform it into an ally on your journey to growth and inner peace. From recognizing what not to do, confronting your own emotions, to practicing mindfulness and viewing situations from a higher perspective, each step is a reminder that you are fully capable of mastering your emotions. Anger is not an enemy. It is a part of life, and when you learn how to handle it, you'll realize it can be one of the most valuable teachers, guiding you toward maturity and strengthening your willpower. If you found this video helpful and haven't hit the like button yet, take a moment to do so now. It's the best way to support the channel. Feel free to leave a comment sharing your thoughts or your own experiences. And if you think this content could help a loved one or a friend, share the video to spread the value. Don't forget to click subscribe and hit the bell icon so you won't miss any of the wonderful content coming your way. Deeper lessons are on the horizon. Thank you for being with us, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.